It is January 20th, and it is the start of marathon training season. Hi, I'm Jess. I am 48 years old. I am a grandmother, and I am training for my 15th marathon. And not only am I training for my 15th marathon, but I am hoping to PR this time. My previous PR was 4 hours, 6 minutes, and 28 seconds, and I am hoping to do a sub 4-hour marathon this time. I am running the Sugarloaf Marathon on May 17th, so this is the unofficial start to marathon training. And I say the unofficial start because I made a rookie mistake and miscounted my 18 weeks back from May 17th. So I came up with my training plan back in November. I ran the Mount Desert Island Marathon in October, and 2 weeks later I ran the Stowe, Vermont 10 miler. So I went from training right into a 2-week quick recovery and then training. And then I stopped. And if you've ever trained for a marathon, or if you haven't, then you should know that training for a marathon is, number one, the addicting part of marathon running, but it's like a major event. And when it's over, you kind of lose purpose and you really just want to get back into it. So after the Stowe 10 miler on November 2nd, I think, I sat down and I immediately, like all crazy marathoners, registered for 2 races this year, the Sugarloaf Marathon and also the Montreal Marathon in October. And then I immediately sat and did my training plan, which I do recommend doing immediately after a training period, because then you know what works, what you liked, what you didn't like, and you can come up with a good plan for the next one. But so in November, I came up with my training plan, counted back 18 weeks, plunked it on my calendar, set it and forget it, and completely goofed up. So I caught it last week. So unofficially, I've circled January 20th as the start of training, but it was technically supposed to be last week. So I caught it Tuesday night of last week, so I quickly made a change and started my training last week, which is fine because I was already doing a bridge program that was pretty similar to the first week of marathon training. But as far as these videos go, this is officially the start, and I am doing it from here on out, recording all of it. So to go a little bit into what training was, today I've actually already run. I did 6.87 miles, which was a 6-mile run plus 6 10-second hill sprints at 6% incline. And as you can see, we've got 6, maybe even 7 inches of snow over the last 72 hours, and I am woefully and inappropriately dressed for the weather, and specifically the 2 inches of ice that we have underneath the snow. So I ran it on the treadmill, which I know is controversial with some runners, and I even have friends who don't believe that you can train on a treadmill or that running on a treadmill is the same. And I really just want to say that some of my training, in fact quite a bit of it, is probably going to be on a treadmill, and I vehemently disagree that you cannot train on a treadmill. Research backs this up. There have been numerous doctors and PTs and run coaches that have proven that running on a treadmill is physiologically very similar to overground running. Dr. Miller back in the 90s proved it. There have been, the University of Colorado has proven it. And there is a ton of research out there saying that really physiologically there aren't a lot of differences. You can get your VO2 max up. You are fatiguing your muscles. Adaptation threshold runs are actually even easier because you can set the pace you want and run it, which is much harder to control if you are running on a track or on the road. not to mention, there are plenty of professionals who do a lot of their training, if not all of their training. Anecdotally, we can talk about Deena Kastor, who won the 2005 Chicago Marathon after she received what was the equivalent of a stress fracture in her foot, and did almost all of her training from that point on an underwater treadmill and in a pool, and then went on to win the Chicago Marathon. You can look at Jakob Ingebrigtsen, who holds like 4 or 5 world records. He does a bulk of his training because he's in Norway, which is cold and icy, just like it is up in Maine, on a treadmill. He does long recovery runs and he does threshold runs because treadmills can go really fast, which is what he needs to do. When running really fast on ice is not really recommended. Not to mention, it's common sense. When you're running on ice, you are guarded, your gait changes. It's just not fun either. So, and anecdotally, personally, my 2 fastest marathons were 4:06 and 4:08. And I would say better than 60% of those 2 marathons were done running on a treadmill. So it can be done and it can be enjoyable. The one thing that isn't equivalent to running over the road versus running on a treadmill is the mental aspect of it. So if you can get over that, which I've learned to do, then you will be just fine. Therefore, I will be doing some training on a treadmill, which is what I did today. So again, day number 1, I did 6.87 miles. I did it at a 10:01 total pace, even though the 0.87 had some hill sprints. So I was significantly faster. I was running that at about a 7:55 pace, up a 6% incline. And then I followed that with a full body workout. So my Tuesdays and Fridays, I do full body with weights, and those are split up into 4 different blocks. I do lower body Bulgarian split squats and RDLs, and then I go into a little bit of tendon loading, which is I do some eccentric step downs and some calf raises, all weighted. And then I move into arms and do some pushes and pulls. Then after that, I do some stability, which are dead bugs and some wood choppers. So I do 3 sets of all of that with weights, ranging from 10 pounds, 15 pound weights generally. And I do that on my Tuesdays and my Fridays. Tomorrow will be a longer run, so I will check back in then. But so for now, training has begun. Marathon number 15 is on its way. I'm not quite 18 weeks, since I'm technically less than 17 weeks at this point. But here we go. It all begins, and I'm going to track it all from start to finish. See ya on the next side.